Hey folks, it's time for TWiP Pro Photo Critique number 167, straight out of camera. This is TWiP. Hey, welcome back to another TWiP Pro Photo Critique. I'm your co-critiquer, Frederick Van Johnson, sitting here with my other co-critiquer, Mr. Troy Miller, back from his gallivanting around the United States of America, doing his family vacation thing. Troy, how was that, man? How was it? Was it good?
Oh my gosh. It was so good. I want to go back. We're trying to plan another trip to go back to Flagstaff or Albuquerque or Colorado Springs or, just
Yeah.
all the places outside. Yeah.
You may have driven through them just before the zombie hordes attacked, so you may not be able to go back now. You're like hot on your heels as you're driving from state to state. So as you were coming through there, where you guys were like no close calls with crowds of COVID or anything, you're pretty good coming through.
No, we were really good, actually. I mean, this was really a mountain biking trip for us. So, I mean, the closest we really came to people is being in a hotel and maybe going to a restaurant. And when we were there, we just did our best efforts to sit outside, not sit too close to any, and everybody was really accommodating. So It was great. And then, the hotels and stuff, we didn't do the morning breakfast with the herd of humans that, had to have free eggs and toast.
Yeah.
So yeah, we stayed away from all of that. We got up early, we left. We were there to go mountain biking and ride, and we made our own.
And you made it
lunches.
back. You made it back in one piece, right? So you're all good.
Yeah.
And now you're ready for the next trip, right? Where's the next trip?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just gonna go back and do it again. I know where all the.
Well, you kind of went Midwestern-y, kind of mountainy. Maybe go north or south. One of those. You got to maybe north. I'm thinking north. Maybe north.
I need to find some more trails. That's what I need. I need to find some more places to go ride. So, and I'm a new mountain biker, so I'm not like hardcore single track downhill super fast kind of stuff. Like I'm learning. I'm getting my legs under me, but I'm still hunting for places to go. So that's the fun part too.
That's so cool. That is so cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what do you say? Speaking of hunting, what do you say we hunt down some of our images for? That was like the worst segue ever. Speaking of hunting, let's make something that doesn't connect. But this week's was a topic as suggested by Craig Stampfli from Down Under, straight out of camera, SOOC. So we've got a couple of submissions. You ready to dive in? Take a look at them?
I am. I got them up right here.
All right, let's take a look. All right. So we are inside of the community. The first one up is from Erik Pronske, and Erik says, Texas Ranch. On Saturday, I was playing around with a 15-stop neutral density filter to get this blur in the clouds, resulting in a 5.5 minute exposure, I'm guessing. And something.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's what it was.
I'm guessing, or 5/12. I don't know. I also set the camera image to a 4:3 crop. As this is straight out of camera image, I didn't edit out the dust spot in the image. Okay, now I gotta find. You see, you mentioned a dust spot. Now I gotta find the dust spot.
Yeah. I didn't see it right away. Oh yeah, I see it. Yeah, it's.
Where is
almost dead center above the fence.
Oh, I see it. It's right there. Yeah. Right there.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, what do you think?
I love this shot. I got to tell you, Erik, I think this is spectacularly done. I mean, just not considering the fact that this is supposed to be straight out of camera. I love the fact that we have this motion in the clouds. The composition is there. I like how you've put the corner kind of off on the third, so it kind of leads us in to see the flags. The flags have that little bit of blur, which makes me feel like it's motion, which is great. Then the clouds and the windmill, everything about that is I'm really digging it.
Mm-hmm. And it's the motion really sets it off, right? And it's interesting. with the constraints of straight out of camera, right? And how that can push you into doing other things where ordinarily you could say, yeah, I want to get the shot, but maybe I'll add some motion blur to the clouds later or whatever. You could do that easily in post, but what an exercise, right? What an exercise to see what you can do in a single click without the net of being able to fix it in post. Right. What about cropping wise? Would you crop anything off of this? When I look at it, I think, my eye is going to the 720 over here. I don't know if I'd want that in there, but I don't know. Maybe that tells the story. What do you think?
I'm struggling with the fact that the windmill comes straight out of the post of the corner of the fence. Mm-hmm. And this is a challenge. Like, I don't know where you could move or how you could move, but I would probably try to simplify the stacking within the image. If there was a location that I could have moved to, like it would have been nice if the windmill had been further to the left or maybe even extreme to the right, if there was a way to move to do that. Mm-hmm. But understanding the constraints, and I don't dislike it the way that it is. I think it kind of works. But my favorite part here is really the flags on the fence. I mean, you could almost crop that and make that image adjust those flags, because the movement that we sense in there, I think, is really nice. Yeah. Instead of just a static snapshot and move on. It's a good lesson for us that, sometimes we need to look at things differently. If the wind is blowing the flag, maybe we put on a neutral density filter and we do that. So,
and it's understanding your gear too, right? And understanding what's happening with light as it makes this exposure on the sensor. I'm tiptoeing around my words here because I'm trying not to say in my day or anything like that. But in my day, no. But just with the, you and I were talking about before we started recording here how advanced cameras have become and how you can get great images out of even the most pedestrian of DSLRs today. And as a result, I think a lot of the understanding how the light is reacting on the sensor and the interplay of f-stops, shutter speeds, and ISO, which is the basic holy trinity, right? How all those things play together, and how do you manipulate those to tell the story in a frame, like what Erik has done here. He wanted to show, we kind of feel like we're there. We feel those. You can almost smell barbecue in this shot, right? You can see the flags there. You can smell the fresh air. It feels like Texas right there. And in order to evoke that, how do you best evoke that feeling using only film? Like essentially, this challenge was like you're shooting slide film, right?
Right.
Right. Which, like what we had to do in the military. You're going to shoot slide film, and then you're going to sit in a classroom. They're going to project your image up in front of everybody, and you have to defend it, right?
Yeah. No fixing it later. No oopses removed.
No, I dig this. This is really, really cool. Yeah, and on your perspective shift thing, I agree. Again, we're armchair quarterbacking here, but if there was a way to kind of move like a step to the left a little bit so that we could see that windmill a little better. We can see the leg of it extending down here. If you didn't look close, it gives the illusion of it coming out from the top of the fence. If you took a step to the left a little bit, we'd see this guy connect with the ground, and it would give us more of a, less of this kind of optical illusion that it's sitting on top of the fence. So, and then maybe show a little bit more of the barbed wire, because the barbed wire is kind of part of that story too, right? So it's really interesting.
Yeah, and really, the windmill is a great subject, and we want it to stand a little bit more on its own. So as opposed to having it, just sort of stacked on top of something else, if we can find a way to give it its own space, that's where the goal would be. But I really appreciate the fact that, Erik, that you took the time to set this up and shoot with a neutral density filter to get those moving clouds. And those are all the things that we should do to get things in cameras before we hit post.
Yep. Erik Pronske, you did all of the things. Thank you.
He did all the things.
All the things. All right. And who's up next? Let's see. We've got Karen Sweeney. Karen says, straight out of camera, image is of a ruffled looking blue tit perched on a fallen oak bough, Nikon D500 with a Nikon 200 to 500. And the only thing she did was convert it to sRGB from Adobe RGB, right?
Right. Yeah. Otherwise, it wouldn't show up in the feed.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. This is really good. I love the fact that we've got that focus. Yeah. He's just chilling. I love him looking over his right shoulder. He's like giving you the eye.
This guy, that expression reminds me of that Looney Tunes character, the Chicken Hawk. You remember the Chicken Hawk?
Yeah.
I'm a chicken hawk and I eat chicken. That's what he reminds me of. Yeah. He's got that attitude. That's the voice I see when I look at this guy. So.
Yeah. Good job nailing focus. And, that's hard. That's always hard on these little guys. I love his ruffled feathers. The composition is great. Maybe a little too loose for me. I might crop it in a little bit tighter. But again, coming out of camera, maybe that's as tight as you could get. So the shallow depth of field is fantastic. We really need that. The white balance is nice. I mean, it's right on. So those white feathers around the face are right there, and the gray is right there. So we don't have a lot of color shift. So, which is also hard to get in camera.
Yeah, this is beautiful. And we've got a specular highlight in the eyeball, which brings that eye to life, right? Which is overlooked in a lot of shots. And I think in one critique, you even suggested adding that back in to, I think it was a portrait shot or something, but adding in a specular highlight just to bring the eyes to life. Otherwise, they look kind of like a dead pool, right?
Correct. And in almost all situations, there is a highlight that exists in our eyes, but we don't often get a chance to photograph it, or it doesn't come through just right. If we have really flat light and that's your intention, that's totally okay. But a specular highlight just gives us the sense that the eyes are awake, and that they're round, and it really does help if you can bring one back in. So,
yeah, I like the shot. It's just, I agree with everything you said. I don't have very much to add to this. Yeah, and just remember, this is straight out of camera too. This is straight out of that Nikon. That's crazy.
Yeah, nice and clean, well done. And it takes a lot more effort to do this. And I tend to be somebody who's lazy about my white balance. I shoot everything at 5200 Kelvin, regardless of what it is, and then I just fix it later.
Yeah, because you can, right? Expand on that a little bit. I'm curious about that. So the white balance setting in the world or in the era of raw file photography, does it even matter, right? Does the white balance matter because you can shift it later? Like what's in other words, what's the purpose? What's the benefit of paying attention to your white balance?
Well, there's a couple things. One, I do believe, and I have no evidence to this whatsoever, but I believe that the white balance affects exposure. So if you're overly warm, I think it tends to overexpose the image, because the camera sensors are generally sensitive to red light, to warmer tones. So I do think that it matters that if you're not really paying attention and you do have your camera set to a really warm white balance, I think it'll affect your exposure. In general, for me as a wedding photographer, I have lots of images to go through, and I want consistency. So if I'm outside shooting, the light is pretty much the same all the time. I don't want it shifting white balance at all, because I want to be able to batch correct all the images of the family I took outside. If I'm on auto white balance, it's going to shift. If I'm going to try to manually change it myself, I'm going to mess it up. I'm going to forget, I'm going to forget that I rolled it to 6,000 or 4,000. So 5,200 for me is like that center point where everything looks pretty good most of the time.
And you can adjust from there. So you're not on, I would have picked you as an auto white balance guy. You're not AWB?
No, because if I'm doing a family shoot and I have like just the bride and groom in there and mom and dad, and maybe they're all black and white and grays, that's fine. And then they add somebody else and they're wearing a bright red shirt, or there's a lot of green in the scene, it's going to shift. The white balance is going to go, I need to change for you. And then I'm trying to color correct, get all the skin tones the same. And now I'm fighting it, because this one's a little more magenta. This one's a little bit more cyan. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So if I set it at a fixed, you could do it per shoot if you wanted to, if you're good, if you can remember. I forget, because I'll walk away from the family and then I'll go inside, and now I'm like at 6,000 Kelvin. Now everything is like super bright orange. So 5200 is where I sit.
So you're on 5200 whether you're outside in a park or inside a chapel. You're still at 5200.
Yep, doesn't matter. Yep, doesn't matter.
Interesting. Wow. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
All right. Hey, I'm interested to hear the community's comments on that. Like, what do you guys think on Troy's 5200 and then adjust later idea?
So straight out of camera competitions, I might flop pretty hard because I would forget to change my white balance, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because now you're relying on fixing everything later, right? Or dialing it in later. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, Karen, for the ruffled looking blue tit perched on a fallen oak ball. That's what I say that again. Craig Stampfli is up next, and Craig says, for the straight out of camera image critique, Brisbane early Sunday morning after having to. Thank you, Mighty Networks. After having to isolate at home for nearly 2 weeks, I was more than happy to get up at Sparrows and wander around town for an hour or two. Also meant I would need to stop for coffee, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so he set his camera to monochrome. This is what he saw pressed against the counter glass. Oh, he shot this with his Micro Four Thirds. It's the EM1X. Let's take a look.
Yeah, he's been playing with that a lot. Yeah, he likes that.
Yeah. All right.
Very cool.
When I first saw this shot, you know what I saw? Yeah, I wasn't hungry. When I first saw this shot, I thought geode. I thought this looked like a rock, that you're going to crack open. There's going to be jewels inside. That's the first thing I thought. And then I looked to the left and I saw the rolls in the oven in the background. But on the right, I saw rock feature. I don't know. What do you think? Straight out of camera.
I like this shot a lot. And the thing is, there's two aspects to this. Is one, I want to crop it and make it more abstract. So, crop off the rolls on the left, crop out the window in the back, and really just kind of crop into those rolls on the right, whatever those things are. And because that would create it more abstract. But the more that I looked at this image, the more I appreciated the composition, specifically because of the receipt that's laying on the counter in the back left corner. I like that so much because it tells me so much more about the story of what this is. This is, I'm going to be able to go out and say, oh, well, this is at a restaurant or this is at a bakery, not at home. This is something out on the street or, in a bakery. So I like those little details. And I think that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Fun shot. Yeah, I didn't even notice that receipt back there. Thank you. You and your attention to detail, man. Since your trip, your attention to detail has gone up, I think. Something happened. You got superpowers. You got superpowers in Denver somehow.
Yeah, because I got to hang out with Michael Rhino. That's what happened.
There you go. The origin story.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Craig Stampfli. Thank you for that. Yeah, Mark Charette says could also go for straight out of cooker. We gotta make this straight out of camera thing a regular occurrence. I like it.
I do. I like it. Yeah, it's a good idea.
And then here we go with Michael Durray, straight out of camera sunset again with a Micro Four Thirds Olympus EM1 Mark II.
Yeah, it's nice.
Let's take a look at this guy. Here we go.
Yep.
Oh, look at that. It's hard to believe this is straight out of camera. It feels like it's got a vignette on it and saturation has been dialed up a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah. Most lenses, this looks like this is a wider angle lens. Most lenses do vignette a little bit.
Yeah.
I love the crop. I like where the horizon is placed. I love the fact that the sun is center, but low on the horizon. Right. So we get mostly that sky, which really makes me feel like it's a big open sky space. And I like that a lot. I like that.
Yeah. What do you think of the crop? Because it's roughly 4:3, right? I think this might be 4:3, maybe a little bit squarer than 4:3.
Yeah, no, I love the crop. I mean, if this was something I was going to do a little bit of work in post in, I would make it like a horizontal image. I think this image would do really well horizontally. But currently within the format that we have, I think it's perfect. I think it's perfectly done. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. What am I thinking? There was no crop. This is straight out of camera. Right. What am I thinking? On that, just real quick, cropping. What are your thoughts on that? Like just on the and let me put a better frame on it, right? So should photographers endeavor to have a signature crop? Like I shoot everything in 1:1, or I shoot everything in 4:3, or everything is 16:9 because I like the cinematic quality, or should they just crop based on what the image is calling for? Like where do you fall on that?
You always ask questions that have two answers, which means they're good questions, right?
Yeah.
So as a wedding photographer, I have to shoot everything within a format that is going to get printed like a 4:6, an 8:10, a 16:20. So I'm constantly thinking about that when I'm framing my subject. So I almost always shoot with a loose crop so that I can come in and do something with it later, right? Because
provided you have the pixels.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So because somebody may say, well, I want a full frame. Well, that's like an 8:12. Somebody else may say, well, okay, I want to order an 8:10 or 11:14. Well, that's a shorter crop, right? So I got to have room. So I shoot with that in mind. If you're a landscape photographer or a commercial photographer, and you know exactly what you're going to create, I think you should shoot for the crop in camera that's going to best suit you. And then if it's horizontal, you take the top and bottom off. It's all going to depend on what your goal market is. If you don't have a goal market, then just shoot a little bit loose. Most of us have plenty of pixels to push in. So, and it doesn't, like 10%, just give yourself a little bit of wiggle room. And mostly it's left and right, not top and bottom that you have to worry about.
Unless, a third option, unless you are specifically shooting for a series that is leaning into the crop as one of the constraints of that series. Like all of these shots, these 12 shots are square, shots of doorknobs with a they're square with a doorknob in the lower right third, something like that. Then,
but you're going to crop that. You're going to crop that in post.
You're going to crop into that, right? Yeah. But some of these modern cameras will allow you to shoot in different aspect ratios. So where do you fall on that? Because I can shoot like these particularly these GoPros and Insta360 cameras allow you to switch it from 4:3 to 16:9 or 1:1. Or even now recently, instead of 16:9, 9:16 for vertical TikTok type videos. Right. Where should photographers be playing with the aspect ratio in the camera, or should it all be done in post?
Well, there's no absolute answer. I think you do what works best for you. If you want to challenge yourself, then set an aspect ratio, and only shoot in that. No different than putting on a particular lens and forcing yourself to go do a project with only that lens. I think that's great. For the most flexibility, and for me, the most sales potential is I'm going to work with it in post. I'm going to take the time and make it perfect in post. I'm not going to take the time to do it all in camera because I've got to move. I've got to change. I've got, and I see stuff later differently.
Yeah. And it's a mindset thing too, because there is no one right answer, right? Because it all depends on where you find joy. Do you find joy in the constraint of forcing yourself to get it within the camera, like on slide film, like for this critique? Is that where you're most excited and that you find that challenging to get it right there? Or like a Renee Robin, do you shoot when you go out and you shoot for assets that are layered or going to be combined into something greater than the sum of its parts? Or like a Troy Miller, you're going to shoot and that the other half of the equation happens in the computer. You're only doing one half of it now. You're going to finish it and make it brilliant later. And that's part of your flow. There's no one right answer, right?
No, there's not. And I think you just got to consider what your goal is. When I'm shooting weddings, I have a very specific goal in mind. If I was going to go shoot this landscape here, I would shoot it with the horizon low. I would shoot it with the horizon high. And then I would also probably shoot it with the horizon dead center with the intention that, later I may want to crop it one way or the other. And that gives me the assets to play with later. So.
Yeah. I love it. Cool. All right. So I think I want to say that Michael Durray was our last one. Where's this one? No, well, this one.
Yeah. And then Jim Peters popped one in 20 minutes ago.
Oh, right. Yeah. Josh was next. Okay, good. I don't want to miss this one. This one was cool. Joshua Summerfeld, let me read his caption real quick. He says, this great blue... Thank you, Mighty Networks. This great blue skimmer wasn't happy about its portrait going unedited. Turns out dragonflies are pretty vain. Yeah. Well, hey, let's take a look.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that is a really, really nice image right out of camera. Good lighting, great lighting, great composition, and good use of that background being nice and soft. So
yeah,
that's awesome.
and the color juxtaposition is like perfect. Everything is complementary in this shot, and I love how straight the dragonfly's wings are. It's just like, no, this is how you build an aircraft, human.
Yes, exactly.
That's brilliant. I love it. I thought you were gonna say something about the stick being crooked. That's not messing with your OCD. The stick.
No. I think it's okay in this situation because it's not the main subject. I mean, in post, I think the stick is too bright, but that's not a consideration here, right? What really matters here is that, out of camera, that you were able to get a finicky creature sitting still and nail focus and have a good composition. Those are skills that we should all endeavor to do before we get to the computer. So. Yeah. And the stick doesn't bother me. I think it's cool that it's leaning. Actually, I think it needs that little break of the symmetry.
I agree, and I think if it was vertical, then it would have been like, maybe tilt it just a little bit, a little bit more randomness to the shot. Yeah, cool shot, Joshua. Thank you.
Yeah, I like those off-camera tilts. I do that a lot in my own work. Even though it may be overdone, but I always try to break lines that I don't think need to be perfect. Although,
the Dutch angles. Are you doing Dutch angles in your work? Yeah,
I do. Yeah, I like it. Yeah,
you're that guy.
I'm always doing it. Yeah, you got to twist just a little bit.
The Dutch angle. You gotta love it. All right. Next shot up is from Thomas Tom Buckout. He says, straight from the camera, taking pictures at a friend's engagement party. Right up your alley, Troy Miller. Picture of the ring. She was going to give to her Canon 28-7 f2. Okay, cool. Let's take a look.
Yeah.
Let's bring it up. Come on, Mighty.
Mine's not loading either.
Mighty's having a Monday. That's what's going on.
Yeah, it is. Really fun shot. I like the whole story that's going on there. Just a couple things that I would do, and this is sort of really speaking to what we need to do before we get it in post. I would center the entire box when it's open. It looks like the box was centered before it was opened. So I like to center the box when it's open. You know what I mean? So lid and box. And I know that puts the ring off center, but I'm okay with that. That's just personal preference. Also, the ring is crooked. And for me, being a wedding photographer, I would be obsessed about making sure that ring was perfectly balanced in there before I took a photo. Yeah. Because that stuff is a nightmare to fix in post. So
I bet. Yeah. This, I don't see how would you fix this in post? I guess suppose you could. You could rotate a little bit and take some of the ring from this side and flip it and put it on that side. Yeah.
And I only mention that because I've done that. And because I'm in a hurry and, I get the shot and I think it's right. And I get back and I'm looking at that and I'm like, that's the bride's ring. She is not going to want to see that thing crooked. She's going to want to see it perfect.
Yeah.
At least that's what I'm telling myself. And so then I have to fix them. So.
Okay. So other than centering and the tilted ring, what else would you change anything else in here?
Well, just speaking to the shot the way it is, I like it, but I do think we need to push in a little bit tighter.
Yeah.
You've got a great story there, perfectly acceptable for a wedding day, because in post you would crop it and you'd be all good to go, and that's probably how I would shoot it. I'll fix it later. But straight out of camera, you've got to think like, we got a little bag thing on the right. They got a little ribbon that's in the frame. Push in a little bit.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say push in and then maybe rise up a little bit to get more of the ring and more of the detail of the rocks in the actual ring. I know right now I'm looking at it, and of course we want to read what's in the frame, so we're focused on the words. Like, but if you were up just a little bit, shooting back down, you'd still have those words in there, and we'd have more ring in there. Plus, like you said, if we punched in a little bit, it'd be more about that ring. I don't know. Or what do you think? Maybe the story that he's going for is are the words, in that it's part of an overall narrative. In that case, then yeah, because there's another shot of details of the ring and all that stuff, and this was just to show the placement of the box on the table. I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's just, matter of personal preference.
Yeah.
I would have probably shot more from the top down, because I don't want to see as much of the front of the table. I want to see, I want to shoot more into the little silk rose petals that are there to kind of simplify my frame. So I would have probably done those kind of things. But the way it's presented, I mean, it's a really nice image, and it tells a good story.
Yeah, no, for sure. Very cool. Thank you, Thomas.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say one somebody that taught me a long time ago was that when you're looking through the frame, if you can blur your eyes when you're looking through the frame, you'll sometimes see distracting elements, lights, patterns, lines that you might not see with your eyes focused. And it's kind of a weird technique, but if you're looking through the camera, just cross your eyes a little bit or defocus them and look at that frame. And you'd be like, wow, there's a bright spot over there, or,
Interesting. Like throw your own little biological Gaussian blur over the shot, right?
Yes.
All right, cool. All right, I have a favorite. I've already brought it up on the screen. I think we know what we've agreed. What? We have another one? Did I miss?
More. Yeah, you got to refresh. Yeah, Jim Peters popped in there.
Ah, Jim.
Snuck in under the wire.
Right. Oh, you're lucky Troy's here, because I totally would have gone on. Yeah, there it is. Oh, look at that. Let me bring this up. Okay, Maria Fire, Santa Paula, October 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that straight out of camera. Jeez.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's like a hellscape.
Yeah, it's really interesting. These are the kind of things that I think sometimes really speak to the idea of post-processing, and that if you don't have like a really long lens, and I would want to push in more and get more of the ridge and the fire and the smoke to completely fill the frame. But if you can't do that, then you would crop it in post. But in this condition, right, like the limits were no post-processing, just straight out of camera. So
yeah.
It tells a great story.
It pulls you right in there, right? And being in California right now and smelling these, the burnt smoke smell is kind of a norm now. It's I almost smell it looking at this photo. It's very cool.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Not cool. It's hot, but you get what I'm saying.
What would be just at the crux right there in that little triangle where there's no smoke, you see that line of dots.
This right here?
That's probably like an airplane or something that flew through there. So I think that's kind of cool that you caught that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's really interesting. Grief. You remember, what was it? A couple of years ago, California was having all those fires, and people were interfering with aircraft operations with drones. You remember that?
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah, we haven't heard much about that lately either. I'm thinking maybe people did not get smarter, right? So they had to have figured out a way to mitigate the threat. So, who knows?
Yeah, it's heavy fines and jail time if you interfere. So
yeah, that'll do it. Oh, we got another image in here wait a minute. Am I missing images here?
I don't think so.
Why am I missing images? Hold on. Let me refresh this screen, because there's one in here from Nora that I didn't see.
There's two, Nora and Stephen Sharf. So what are you doing over there?
And Frater? Stephen Sharf, 36 minutes ago and 1 hour ago. That's why. All right, here we go. Here's Nora's. Here's Nora. She posted this 1 hour ago. So yeah. All
wow.
Right. Take a look at this. Oh, what does Nora say? Nora says, hunting for pollen is more difficult in the wind. Autofocus stopped working, so taking pictures was also more difficult in the wind. Oh, so manual focus of a bee in the wind.
Yep. Nice.
man, and it's sharp. It looks to be sharp.
Nice.
So in post, obviously, you would punch in on this in post production if this wasn't. This wasn't straight out of camera. What else would you change, if anything?
I would just do some dodging and burning, and maybe a little saturation in post. But I got to say, the way that it's presented right here, I really love the fact that the bee is in the lower right thirds, and then the lower third on the horizon. That abstract blurred background that's on an angle. I think that's awesome. I think that feels really good. If it was, straight vertical, like we talked about earlier, it wouldn't have the same sense of energy and sort of an abstractness. So I like that a lot. And the bee is almost perfectly sharp. I mean, we could maybe a little bit better on the hindquarters, but it's a bee on a flower.
In the wind.
It's in focus. Yeah, it's definitely solid. Yeah.
With manual focus. Yeah. I'm guessing, Nora, this is one of those shots where you focus on that flower and then just move the camera back and forth, maybe on continuous high to see if you can get it. Yeah.
And this is where like a mirrorless camera really has an advantage if you put on focus peaking, because anything that's in focus will have a color overlay. So like a red or yellow, whatever you set. So it makes it very easy. Well, makes it easier to see what's in focus instead of just like for me, trusting my old eyes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Those days are over. Love it. Very cool. Thank you, Nora.
Yep.
I'm glad I did not miss this. All right. And then next up is our friend Stephen Scharf. He says, Tony Khan exits turn 2 hard on the power of his Dallara Chevrolet during the IndyCar race at Sonoma Raceway. Straight out of camera, only downsized 2,000 pixels for the critique. Very cool.
Oh, nice.
Look at that.
Yeah, that's really nice. That's a great timing shot. I love seeing his hand on the steering wheel.
Wow. Look at that.
And then the heat, you can see like the heat radiating above the car or off the track. I mean, wherever it's coming from, it's mostly behind him. So
I love these shots because as a non motorsports fan or person that understands the sport intrinsically, kind of like a Steven or a Mike Doran, when I look at this shot, the only thing that's indicating that this thing is in motion are the wheels right now that are spinning. It may be the fact that it's leaning a little bit and we have the guy's hand on the steering wheel, but otherwise it's perfectly frozen in time. What is this thing on top here? Do you know what that is? It looks like some sort of LiDAR thing.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a GoPro up there.
In
but
front
what
of
the rest
it.
of it is. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, this is this motorsport is a bit foreign to me. I mean, I understand the concept, but I'm more about big V8s and stuff like that. So.
You're like Monster Car. You like Bigfoot crushing trucks and all that.
Yeah, I've just never done this stuff. I mean, I do appreciate it though, and it's cool. I do wish that in this particular shot that the tires were turned, like coming into the corner. I wish we could see that, but that just matters like where he is in the turn. He may be coming out of an S turn, out of the first turn, and he's heading into the next turn. So of course, he's already turning the wheels. So
yeah,
but it's always cool when you get a little turn in the front tires.
Yeah, a little bit of dynamics in there. Yeah.
Yeah, but great exposure. It's tack sharp right where it should be, and just enough motion blur to give the sense of movement without blurring any of the writing. And you can see the sponsors' logos and the driver and everything, which is what you want in these shots.
And again, to reiterate, straight out of camera, right?
And these guys are hauling ass, so it's not like you have time. You've got to nail it. So
yeah, and what Steven would do to this in post. So in post processing, what would you do to this shot? You got this raw file, and you gotta finish it. What would you do to it, if anything?
I would probably vignette ever so slightly. I like seeing the track in the lower right hand corner. I would just probably vignette out or darken the highlighted tints in the back just a bit, and maybe push the saturation a tad. Because I'm guessing that the blue on this car is a bit more vibrant than what we're seeing here. So I feel like that might be getting lost. But if not, then, don't really have to do a whole lot.
Yeah, I'm guessing you would also get rid of some of this little detritus on the track here, like these guys. And this would this would totally destroy you up in the upper left. You would get rid of that. That'd be the first thing you got rid of, Troy. Come on.
Yes, I would get rid of that top left corner before I'd get rid of the little pieces on the track.
Yeah.
I would definitely do that. So
cool shot, Steven. Thank you.
Great shot, Steven.
All right. Any other last minute? Let me reload the page before I get out of here.
I'm double checking too. Yeah. No, I think that's it.
Let's take a look here. Yep. Looks like that's it. All right. We have our crop now. Do you have a favorite out of all those?
I do. My clue to you is 720. That's my clue to you.
Well, let me guess. He's talking about this, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, it's the Lone Star State with Erik Pronske, master of barbecue down there.
Yeah, I dig it. Yeah, great job, Erik. I got to tell you, I really appreciate the fact that you took this far enough that you did a long exposure and you got a neutral density filter, and that was good use of in camera. So
yeah, very good. Yeah, I agree.
Great.
I like this one too. Very cool. All right. Congratulations, Mr. Pronsky, on being this week's favorite. Troy Miller for 168, critique number 168. What's our topic?
I'm gonna be very creative with this one, and hope everybody can do this. I'm going for open category. Okay, not the word open category. No. See what I did there?
Yeah, I see what you did.
No, I think let's do an open category. We're gonna get quite a bit more images probably, and we haven't had an open category for a while. So
done. Open category 168. I love it. And we'll record that one. Let's give a date here just so we know. That's going to be the 6th of we're in September already, man. Jeez.
I know.
September 6th for 168. SCPT
Wow.
6. Wow. Yep. Here we go. Halfway there. Just about.
I know. We have fall decorations out in the house now.
Let's start playing that Bon Jovi song. You know the Bon Jovi song I was playing in the car after getting my first vaccination shot? Living on a Prayer. We're halfway there, living on a prayer. It was perfect.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Cool. All right. Well, before we wrap this one up, any final thoughts for folks on the open category or anything else? Cropping, white balance, any of that stuff?
No, none of that stuff. Just hang in there and let's all work together to get through this COVID thing. You know?
Man. Dude, yeah.
Whatever that is, yeah. I want to get through it so we can hang out and have drinks and hugs. So
tell me about it. I mean, this time last year we were saying that same thing, right? So it's like I thought by this time this year we'd be hanging out, having drinks and hugs, and hanging out at F64 Live. And no, we're not. But yeah, we'll get through it, and we will appreciate it that much more when we're able to interact safely with each other.
Right.
So,
all
right.
Yep.
Well, cool. All right. We'll leave it right there. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this week's photo critique. Remember, next week's or the September 6th critique will be number 168, open category. So go wild. See what you got. Don't go wild and burp on the mic, but go wild with your submissions, and we'll see what we see. Cool. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah.
One. So bring it out. Bring out your strength. Let's see what you can do.
Yep.
All right, man. All right, Troy Miller. Thank you, man. Take care.
All right. Take care, guys.
There.
This is TWiP.